Yeah. As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going, better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version.
You're listening to the Tom Ficklin Show on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and I just enjoy doing the show. It's been since 2015, and you hear this phrase, labor of love, and I wouldn't even say it's a labor. It's not laborious at all. It's a chance to kind of keep me awake before the term woke came in vision. Sometimes you got to have goals and aspirations, I think, to kind of spur you on to, I guess, continue to kind of walk the walk and not just talk the talk, but manifest some of your desires. So doing the show since 2015 has really been almost if not a resurrection, just a remarkable journey for me. And as some of you might know, I was involved with a newspaper called The Inner City, which is still around for 10 years, from 1990 to 2000. So I guess this journalistic storytelling, sharing content is something that's part of my recent DNA. And on a personal note, my father, who passed away in 1967 rather, I was looking to some background on him. He passed away when I was 17, but I found out that when he was in high school and after high school was interested in journalism. So my guest today is Seth Poole, but Seth, so it seems that sometimes the family tree, the family ancestry kind of follows you in terms of activism and social uplift and just being a good person on the planet. My guest this morning is Seth Poole, and I was so excited earlier this week when I saw on Facebook that Seth is the new executive director of the Greater New Haven OIC, the Opportunities Industrialization Center of Greater New Haven. And I was just so excited because Dr. Leon Howard Sullivan was the founder, the visionary, the prophet, the Moses of starting OIC. And although Dr. Sullivan passed away in 2001, there are OICs throughout the United States and in Connecticut in particular, in Waterbury and New London and New Britain, and it's been in New Haven for several years. Reverend Robert Lampkin was Seth's predecessor, and shout out to Robert as he kind of moves into retirement or whatever his next stage is. But my point is to see Seth kind of taking up the gauntlet and accepting the torch and continuing to breathe life into the OIC here locally was really exciting. And he was kind enough to make some time this morning to be with me. Seth, good morning.
Good morning, Tom. Thanks so much for inviting me. As always, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's a pleasure to kind of talk to you. We talked a little earlier this week, and I know I jumped into your schedule in terms of you would, even if you weren't talking to me this Friday morning, you'd be doing the work. But I wanted you to kind of first to take these next 45 or so minutes and take a moment and free to share how you perceive this new OIC journey for you. Many people in New Haven might know that Seth is a graduate of Wilbur Cross High School and a graduate of Trinity College, and worked for a number of nonprofits here in New Haven, several nonprofits here in New Haven, Clifford Beers and the Boys Club and other things, active politically. And I was just so excited to see you, Seth, not smelling the roses, but planting the seeds and planting the flowers for them to bloom, the economic and social development flowers, even after we pass away. So, what caused you to kind of take up this mantle, man, and to jump into this fiery hoop of social and economic and political development for our community?
Thanks for the question, Tom. I mean, well, as many people know in the community, the Poole family is one that is, devout to community service and has been since, our faction of Pooles moved here in the 60s, and have been committed to New Haven and bettering the social and economic positioning of our people, both brown and black, just trying to help folks get a leg up. And truly, walking in the philosophical footsteps of Booker T. Washington is very important to me. And as it has been, my grandmother was a huge fan of Mary McLeod Bethune, and she brought grandmother Geraldine Poole, who taught in the city, taught in New Haven Public Schools for nearly 4 decades, was also instrumental in bringing the United Council of Negro Women chapter to the city of New Haven with her as well. So, it's very important for us to be aware of those traditions and, have that baton passed and that torch carried, into the future, so that our young people don't feel like they're, shrouded by darkness. It's like there is and has been a blueprint. And I think it's incumbent upon us to have those intergenerational conversations in order to build upon what's already been created rather than recreating the wheel.
Indeed. And you're chatting with me now from Honda's kind of her cathedral of learning that she's building out there in the shack, and Alder Honda Smith. And so just want people to know that, but also we're going to share that you're looking for some other locations, perhaps also to be more accessible. And it's been two weeks. How long have you actually physically been in the saddle?
It would be 2 weeks. Today is 2 weeks in the saddle, and it's very appropriate that you should mention. Shout out to Alder Honda Smith, who is doing fabulous work, creating a space for our young people here at what we're affectionately referring to as the Shack. The progress is coming along, and you mentioned the planting of seeds, which if I could show you what's happening outside of my window, that is exactly what's happening. They have a garden coming up, and they're teaching a lot of the aspects of what it means to be free and successful and healthy, are being showcased and taught to our young people, so that we are reconnecting to the earth, and doing our due diligence to bring folks to a better social standard.
Let's kind of center folks on Reverend Sullivan and OIC, because I don't want to assume that the Opportunities Industrialization Centers at OIC acronym is as known as it should be. Some of the OGs and yourself, right? Remember OIC here on across from Community Baptist Church, the actual building that at that point, and as I mentioned, Reverend Robert Lampkin was involved with the leader more recently. And I do want you to share some of your board members. But talk about the OIC mission as you perceive it, because this word OIC, Opportunities Industrialization Center, people might think it's an old term, or industrialization. What does that mean? But Google now is the new industrialization. ChatGPT is a new industrialization. Digital healthcare and robotic healthcare is a new industrialization. And I guess I wonder how you share with people what the OIC mission is in the abstract or in general. And then as what is kind of your vision about why it's so important to kind of reinstitute, revitalize, and further the efforts of Robert Lampkin in terms of OIC for the future? Why is there still a need for OIC in your opinion, and how are you kind of interacting with the community?
I have to be transparent. Like, when I saw the opportunity, or came to me as an opportunity, I was unaware of what the work of the OIC was. So I began to do my own research, and first and foremost amongst my contemporaries, amongst my peers, asking the question, and so many of the people in my age bracket had no clue. And then I called my mom, and my mother told me, she said, everybody got jobs between the late 60s and the mid 80s. If you were looking for work, go to the OIC first, and they'll put you on the path. And I think that access is ultimately what people are lacking in so many different situations. And our goal at the OIC is ultimately to partner and collaborate in order to harness unrecruited talent in our community, so that we're not only identifying those people, but training those folks and releasing folks with positive skills into the workforce. And I've touched base with a few of my peers running the aforementioned OICs of New Britain and Waterbury, respectfully, and I'm looking forward to touching base with Mrs. Nikisha Grant Jones, who's also a New Haven native, who is heading up London office. So we are actively filling this, this generational gap in order to carry this the torch, because Dr. Leon Sullivan's, who is the founder and the international chairman of the OIC, you mentioned that they're all over, they're 35 presently in the nation, and back then there were more than 200. So what we're also acknowledging is that there are OICs still operating on the continent of Africa. This legacy is more than necessary and is in need of new energy and truly proverbial shot in the arm. It's like we have to invest in something that is for us, by us, that may have fallen by the wayside for whatever reason, but I'll gladly and humbly taking that responsibility upon myself to connect across generations and truly lift the legacy of this great man back up to prominence.
Excellent. And we're going to ask folks for you to share how people can kind of connect with you and jump on board this freedom train. And there's a few freedom trains out here in economic development, freedom trains in New Haven. And I'm always, sometimes I see in my mind, Seth, the train station and the trains coming in and out, and we don't want to have any collisions, but we got to also have a game plan for scheduling and connection and coupling. So share with folks, again, and you're relatively new, so we're not going to hold you if you don't fulfill what you're saying today. We know that that's not because you didn't intend to do it, but so your customer base, your service delivery, what are you looking forward to OIC providing to folks and sharing with folks moving forward in terms of tangibles?
So presently, the OIC has programs through the SAFE grant. It's a Department of Labor grant where we are training CNAs, certified nursing assistants, and phlebotomists. And that's something that the OIC has been known for generations, which we're proud to continue that work in partnership with with several organizations in the immediate area. And it's entitled the Greater New Haven OIC. So it's not just the boundaries of our 17 square miles in New Haven. It is also our neighbors, which we plan to grow and have a presence in those communities as well. Our surrounding towns that have so much. They have so much skin in the game, so to speak, or so much impact and influence, and in our work environment, as well as our partnering with us regarding social and enrichment programming, things of that nature. So I must lift up and will continue to lift up access, and I aim to bring a collaborative spirit and build partnerships and share in the responsibility of building a funding base that truly is also for us and by us. Because when you have organizations, in my travels amongst nonprofit organizations, when you have a 100% giving board and you have fundraisers that allow for the common person to be able to contribute to the financial base of the organization, that is where you truly gain footing and open up the doors to much larger financial opportunities for growth and ultimately reaching more folks. So we are not capable as individual organizations to meet the needs of everyone in the community. And New Haven alone, everyone's very aware. People who are aware of the New Haven landscape are aware that it's difficult for people to travel to particular neighborhoods that they're unfamiliar with. And another aim of mine is to centralize our offices, because we mentioned that Honda's doing fabulous work here at the Shack, and we aim to serve Greater New Haven. So ideally, we're looking for centralized space that's readily accessible by folks via bus lines, highways, things of that nature, so that we can, truly increase our accessibility and visibility.
And on that note, just if someone just heard what you said and might have a location available for you, could be a city government official, could be a minister, could be just a resident. What's the best number for folks to reach you? And we'll repeat this toward the end of the conversation as well.
First and foremost, I'll share my personal cell phone number, 203-687-1742. And I know that the phone number is listed in here somewhere. Give me a minute and I'll share that at the end of the show.
Okay. Great. Great.
My administrative assistant assists me in that one. I don't know the number off top.
Perfect. And Seth, so CNA is definitely so important, and people, I don't think we realize. I think we do realize that the health industry, whatever happens in the future, health is going to be related, and it's certainly such a from a Wall Street stock market investment standpoint. Health is one of our major economic drivers worldwide, with the aging population, et cetera, with all these new innovations, with the new pharmaceuticals, with even the controversy about new pharmaceuticals being released. So to be what you might think CNA is a dead end job, but on the contrary, it's getting your foot in the door, as you've alluded to, is so key. In terms of your vision, plate, and dream, what other kind of specific services might you be thinking about? Hopefully, you can share or even partner with folks that might be doing it, but you can bring some added sauce to their secret sauce.
I like how you put that, added sauce to the secret sauce. I think we're at a critical juncture in history, to your point, coming the necessity for getting a foot in the door through a certified nursing assistant role, which can then grow into licensed practitioner nurse or LPN, and then so on and so forth. It's like once folks gain access, and in this community, which is eds and meds, meaning educational organizations and medical organizations, with Yale New Haven Hospital being one of our top 3 employers, if not the top employer in the greater New Haven area. It's important for us to maintain a footing in the realm of preparing people to serve in that capacity. But I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we're at the precipice, the beginning, the opening opportunity for green and sustainable work opportunities. And, the advanced manufacturing, which is developing and coming back to our area with very directed from the national standpoint to bring jobs back home, because we realize that our economy is in disrepair at the moment. And if we're paying attention and being honest with ourselves, there is a huge economic windfall, about downfall, windfall, however you want to frame it, coming within the next 30 to 60 days. And it's important to not only build up the capacity of our staffing and ourselves around financial literacy, but also to educate the community far and wide and offer opportunities for them to understand what this means for them, to them, and how do they not only survive but thrive during economic downturn. So I fully intend to partner and collaborate with organizations to have host financial literacy sessions, so folks, because it's very clear that our economics, social justice costs a great deal of money. Everything is based in capitalism in this country and definitely on this planet. So through the lens and the legacy of Reverend Dr. Leon Sullivan, who I saw most recently referred to as the Lion of Zion, which I felt that it gave me that warm feeling, like when that note gets hit in church and you get that shiver. I'm like, this man was known as the Lion of Zion and was responsible, played a role in bringing his business to the continent of Africa, sat with Haile Selassie, had a hand in helping free Mandela, but yet we know very little of this man's legacy. And when you have a powerful figure like that, the ultimate humanitarian is what Dr. Nathan Wright Jr. referred him to in an article which I read about him within the last week. And just thinking along the lines, he's left us a blueprint. He published what he referred to as the Sullivan Principles. Which I don't have a copy yet, but also a book called Build Brother Build, which I intend to read cover to cover. Apparently, at the recommendation of Mr. Beeman and Waterbury, he says you need to get your hands on that book. And he wished me Godspeed, because it's like, once you go OIC, you are forever changed. Was the language that he used, and I'm open to that. So open to that because as I'm reading into this organization, I feel that this appointment is more of a calling than anything else, because I didn't know of this history. Yet my resume reads the way it does, and lo and behold, I'm sitting in this chair. So it is truly a great opportunity, and one that has international implications, as I view it.
Yes.
To build, in the great city of New Haven, which I've called home my entire life, is not only an honor, a privilege, but also something that I take very, very seriously. For the father of 2 younger children, and it has always been my aim and directive to build a world suitable for them to receive from me and my generation as well.
And Seth, just as you were talking, the thought occurred to me that just given your personality and your leadership style, but you've always kind of surrounded and reached out to folks. So let's give a little shout out to some of your current board members. And I say current because there are additional vacancies on your board. But let's just kind of share some of the names for people to know that have been kind of keeping this mission alive even before you joined up 2 weeks ago.
So I want to acknowledge first and foremost our board president, Reverend Florestine Taylor, who's her encouragement and leadership during this transition time has been completely necessary. And I really appreciate how she's basically walking me through this process to truly understand where we are and what is the direction of herself and the board as it relates to for expanding the work of the OIC here in the greater New Haven area, and getting the word out and the understanding and putting a spotlight on Reverend Dr. Leon Sullivan and a legacy of excellence, Black excellence that I'm almost ashamed that I had no knowledge of this great man leading up to maybe a month and a half ago. And I aim to with the help of the board and definitely the other 4 partners across the state to lift that up back to prominence. Also, Dick Bell, our board treasurer, who's always been a mentor to me, is I grew up with his son and treated me as a son as well. So remiss if I didn't acknowledge and salute Mr. Bell for always pulling for me and being in my corner and giving me advice. So often unsolicited sometimes, but, that's the type of advice that typically put you on the track.
Right.
Dr. Ernestine Taylor is also, Dr. Ernestine Kirkland is also a board member, as is Dr. Claudette Robinson Thorpe. Many of you know. Just goodness, you put me on the spot with the board members.
No, just curious. And I know in the past, the reason I bring that up because I know in the past also I was, if the tale be told, on the board light years ago, back there with Jerry Poole and Ron Manning and Morris Moreland. And I'm just kind of name dropping folks that even if you are just hearing about OIC today, some of the names we've mentioned in the last two or three minutes, I think some of those folks you might know, just to kind of indicate that there's a history, there's a significance. One of the original OIC building here in New Haven was right abutting adjacent to the Community Baptist Church. It's now a parking lot, but as you referenced, that building was about four stories high, and people went there before there was a Concat, before there was a well, the Urban League started around that time as well, but it was the go-to place. Talk to me about, are there any, speaking of the board, Seth, and kind of expanding your network of collaborators and conspirators, or do you have any current board vacancies if anyone's interested in volunteering their time or
Yes,
perhaps
definitely. We are opening up the offer, so to speak, the ranks to build our board to be more reflective of the people that it serves. So we want our board to grow into a more intergenerational board. We would love to have people who benefited from OIC funding to get their access point to certified nursing assistant work, or what be it flagging or whatever licensure you've received over the course of the last some 30, 40, 50 years. We like to one thing we'd like to lift up is although the OIC is not as at the forefront of everybody's thought process, we've actually trained more than 700 CNAs in the last decade who are placed in our nursing homes and in our hospitals. And we want to continue that legacy. Judge Clifton Graves is also a board member, who's also extremely active. And you mentioned Mr. Morris Moreland, who his life and legacy is long lasting in service to the people of New Haven. He left us. He transitioned roughly a month and a half ago, and I worked with him at Project More and years ago, and they left a long lasting impact on us as employees there, serving the reentry population. Re-entering into society, and these are areas of need for job skills, transferable skills, and obviously advanced skills, given our present growing and growing economic base here in the region. So so many folks have had influence and put their fingerprint on this, and it's only appropriate that we assign folks to this calling to carry this legacy forward. And it's incumbent upon me as the executive director to basically bring in the ranks, build up the capacity through partnership, through organizing, through whichever mechanisms we have at our disposal, social media. We're gonna do a pretty substantial social media campaign during what has been dubbed OIC Week. We have our former mayor John DeStefano to thank for that. He established OIC Week back in 1995, and we intend on bring this back to the forefront. That would be June 5th through the 9th.
Great.
We having a full-on blitz of all of the social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, so on and so forth, because we realize that this is how our young people, our younger population communicates most readily. And and we also intend on being visible this summer, and in our public spaces, International Festival of Arts and Ideas, for instance. These are all opportunities for us to see the people who require the access, who want the access, so that they can provide for their families, and also be in service to their community as well.
You're listening to the Tom Ficklin Show, and I really had the pleasure of having a conversation with the new executive director of two weeks old at Opportunities Industrial Relations, the Greater New Haven OIC, and Seth Poole is with us. So Seth, always so good to chat with you. I'm really glad you mentioned that June 5th, the OIC week, just to let you know that you're hitting the ground not only just running and not only just jogging, but hitting the ground sprinting. Now I know when you were playing, were you a linebacker or tackle in?
I was a linebacker and a guard, so yeah.
Linebacker. So you tried
I
to sprint.
to
You tried to sprint, but it's probably a quick walk. But I don't know. Were you a pulling guard? Did you have to do any?
I was pulling on every play.
All right.
A pulling guard.
Let's talk as it gets for a second, and we'll come back to OIC. But let's talk a little bit about your journey from the field of dreams standpoint, playing football and being honored as a. Well, I think you were the captain of the Wilbercross team, or co-captain, as I recall.
Co-captain of Wilbercross team, and one of the co-captains of the Nutmeg State team as well, which won. That was a good time.
And then you went on to Trinity, and you worked with other nonprofits that really have always been dealing with young people, with adolescent development, with psychic development, with social development. What does that tell you? Just take a few minutes on the philosophical tip about this human species and what our needs are to kind of just make sure that the future generations thrive and survive. There's reference in the various wisdom texts about your actions today can impact 7 generations from now. But given your journey thus far, given your young life, because you're still a young man and hopefully still staying in shape a little bit, what does it what kind of takeaways or philosophies or mantras kind of resonate in your mind about what we still are lacking in terms of people fulfilling their full aspirations?
Thanks for that question. So I dubbed myself a youth development professional. For lack of better terminology. I feel, that my career is something that is a calling, has been a calling to me, more or less than a profession or a vocation or whatever, folks refer to their career paths as. And it comes naturally to me to reach out to our young people, because as a young person, I had very few people helping, lay out the blueprint for getting to where I am. And it was difficult, to navigate. So, I kind of along the path made a mental note of all of the things where I felt I needed more clarification or more information, and made it a habit to return to the quote unquote scene of the crime, Like I worked at the Boys and Girls Club because I was a kid at the Boys and Girls Club. I worked at Sheridan Middle School because I went to Sheridan Middle School. I worked at Planned Parenthood because nobody wanted to talk about anything related to reproductive health care, even though it was killing off a full generation of our people. And people still don't want to come clean. We have to step into those spaces which have been uncomfortable, and in order to educate ourselves around the correct pathway so that we can lay down a blueprint. And I think that's at the forefront of the work is I want to leave this world better than it was when I got here, and have just a map for young people or younger people to say, that turn can lead down a very dark path. It's like, this is a better path. It's like, but everybody has their own, crosses to bear, and their own path to walk. So, you want to encourage folks along the lines of what success means to them. This overarching, Northeastern, very elitist approach to what success is not a pathway to happiness for everyone. Money doesn't mean, the be all end all, but you need those bare necessities, those those hierarchy of needs comes to mind. It's like you need food, love. I like to say love, and before I say shelter and all the rest of that, you need food, love, clothes, shelter, and water to live. And that's just the baseline, to live and survive. It's like, but what do folks need to thrive? And in their own design, because it's like, it's important to meet people where they are and bring them along and provide them with access to that which is going to enrich their lives. And We don't have all the answers for everyone. You know, it was like just yesterday, I, stopped by the McDonald's to get myself an ice cream cone. The kid who was doing the cashier was a linebacker. Like, if I saw him on the field, I'd key on this man and make sure he stayed away from the play. But he said he doesn't want to play sports. He's working, And I said, are you going to college? He says, no, I don't want to go to college. He said, I'm going to be a plumber. And I said, young man, stay the course. You have it figured out. To be a plumber, it costs much less than to get a college education. And you make just as much, if not more, than with the college education because you don't owe debt. And he said, thank you. And I went on with my ice cream cone. But at the same time, it's like, you see something in somebody and it may not, you may be inaccurate, when you see somebody who's 6'6" and assume that they're a basketball player. Reverend Dr. Leon Sullivan, from what I've heard, was 6'7".
Yes.
And obviously he wasn't playing basketball, but he was playing a very, very serious game of economic empowerment for the planet to enrich our people's lives. And I think that this is it's appropriate that I'm here. It is a large responsibility, and I think my path has brought me to this for a reason, and I fully intend to make good on Mr. Sullivan's legacy.
And Seth, just so share again your telephone number, and just to help people respect and appreciate the fact that you're sharing your personal number, so it's not going to get lost in the mix.
I mean, I don't change my number. I'm not going anywhere. But here in the office, the number is 203-389-3321. If you want more information about our CNA and phlebotomy programs, and we also combine the two, so those folks actually enter the workforce, and can ask for a little bit more money than someone who has one or the other. So that's great opportunities that we have. We partner with Harborview Phlebotomy School in West Haven because we are a greater organization, and we aim to expand. So I also want to put it out there for other organizations providing enrichment and job readiness programs, particularly around the green jobs and advanced manufacturing initiatives, to call us as well. We truly want to engage in dialogue with you, and I also would love to further the local unions, carpenters union, the plumbers union, for that young man in McDonald's. You're going to be seeing him soon. And he's going to be ready. He wants an apprenticeship. Everybody, has to go through those phases in order to, get to the point of being, quote unquote, their own bosses and creating their own companies. Because, the path toward economic prominence is, and oftentimes ownership through capitalist, view. So, yeah, I mean, but my personal cell phone, is also 203-687-1742. The offices are open part-time right now. That's why I offer up my cell phone, because I may not be in the office. So please, they can feel free to call me on my cell phone.
Yes.
All right, 33 Valley Street. Right, for people who are familiar with New Haven and the West Rock area, it is right next to the old West Hills or Stream Academy building, which is presently unused. But we are here, and we will be here in the foreseeable future until we establish a larger footing, which is what I anticipate us, in the next 2 to 3 years, finally to be located.
And as you approach, you'll see the substation there. Seth, talk about a little bit. You referenced the economic conditions, and I'll watch Bloomberg and read Fortune magazine and other economic journals, and it seems that from the beginning of time, there's been a discussion about economics. My mind goes to if you just think of Marion and Joseph kind of paying taxes. That was an economic decision they had to make and journey. So taxation, economics, money has been with us in terms of our social discourse for some time. But when you reference your economic outlook, and people are hearing about this debt ceiling crisis and Google laying off people or Amazon laying off people, it seems to me that at every moment in history, there's going to be some that can profit and some that are profits will kind of surmount the people priorities. And you've kind of articulated this before, but I wanted to give you a chance to kind of restate it again about why OIC is so important, even beyond just the bootstrapping. But again, if you don't even have shoes, it's good to have shoes first. So just how OIC, and this reflects on Reverend Sullivan's passionate demonstration that we have to participate in the global economic system with his trips to Africa and taking people over there and creating businesses over there. But I just want to give you a chance to kind of restate again or reshare why that this OIC injection in terms of our consciousness is so important at this point in time.
Thank you for that question, Tom. So I mean, it's difficult to explain economics in one fell swoop, but I think I'm an international studies major. That was my major in college, and I actually focused on China in particular, well before it was fashionable, and folks didn't understand why. But I think Black and brown people, living in America, are very aware that we are the number one and quite possibly two consumers in this country. We spend the most money, and we spend the most money that doesn't stay in our communities and rotate. I believe it said 1 to 2 times or something is the average in a Black or brown community. And we don't have an economic base that's defined and that sustains us, particularly when we're dealing with things like the public health crisis, which is still upon us. So we learned a great deal over the last couple of years, dealing with the most debilitating and dangerous public health crisis for 100 years. And the one thing that I thought about when was that March 12th, March 13th, 2020, was which businesses will be open for us to get what we need, and will we have enough money to get what we need? And I thought my brain went straight to the grocery store. So in the event that the grocery store is closed, what do we eat? Do we still know how to sow a seed and fertilize and grow? And then if you do that, you still got to wait till harvest time to truly benefit from it. So, those things, the cannings and those things that were commonplace for, grandparents' generation and their parents' generation are now, forgotten. Those are the types of things that we can collaborate. Like I mentioned, the shack is growing food behind us, right behind us. It's 8 feet from my back. There is a seed in the ground growing. That education has to be shared. I fully, intend upon, doing outreach to Gather New Haven, to, gain a better presence in our public gardens. So we are smoking that food from farm to plate. And because from farm to plate, when you're talking about those particular spaces, you're talking 200 feet from where I know it is to being able to feed my family. And I think that's truly, at the essence, superbly important. And just knowing that economically there may not be a parachute, there may not be an increase in WIC vouchers or opportunity to get, some money from the government, because we all experienced what it was like to have our children at home 24/7, and how you can't keep the fridge filled.
Yeah. Yeah.
All based on. So,
Excellent.
really empowering folks to understand that level of engagement and community and connection to the earth and the soil, because we're moving in a direction where our gas guzzler V8 vehicles are going to be illegal.
Mm, mm,
It's like, what do we do to prepare for that? So it's like
mhm, mhm.
forecasting what is the job market, what are the trends. We have former alder Steve Winters, now our sustainability czar for the city of New Haven, for lack of a better
Yes.
term. I don't know if it's real, but we fully intend on reaching out to him and seeing what are those pathways that are being supported locally, statewide, nationally, internationally,
Good.
where it was uniquely positioned halfway between Boston and New York to serve as a leader
Mm-hmm.
these initiatives, and
Mm-hmm.
really intend to tap into the OICs. I mean, New London, I'm looking forward to speaking with Nikisha, because I know for a fact, I mean, years ago when we were talking, when I was on the campaign trail, we spoke about sustainability and putting wind turbines in New Haven Sound, and
Yes.
it's my brain says, if this power grid fails, we're and our water treatment facility is running on gasoline, it's eventually going to run out, and we're going to need to harness some sort of sustainable energy source just to maintain potable water, or we'll be
Mm-hmm.
having a conversation like Jackson, Mississippi, or Flint, Michigan. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
now is the time for us to truly think along these lines, prepare our workforce to be the people to not only remedy these situations locally and statewide, but also internationally.
Yes. 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 It's definitely one clue. I'm glad you mentioned Steve's name. I saw Steve Winter last night. There was the new alder here in Ward 28, and we had a City and Environmental Services subcommittee meeting, and Steve was outside City Hall. Then he eventually came in and presented. And you mentioned that the Gather folks, they also presented last night. They're going to have an event in the fall. But yeah, there are a lot of good movements. In fact, I mentioned to Steve that I want to have him on the show every 2 months, given the imperative importance of this green revolution. Which leads me, you spent some time also in terms of the many hats. I see you're one head, but it seems to me you got a few hats that you wear. I'm not sure how you wear them all at the same time. But share a little bit about the importance of being involved with the political system, be it on a commissioner, you're chair of the LCI commission, or whether it's just being involved with your ward committee, or whether it's just being involved with voting, or even particularly just being involved with this upcoming campaign for mayor.
So my grandfather, may he rest in peace, passed away in 2017. Ezekiel Safret Sr. said to me at a very young age, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't speak up, no one knows you're hungry. So you just might go on being hungry. Had a colleague at Planned Parenthood who said, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. And when I combine in my mind those two sayings from my grandfather and the executive director at the Planned Parenthood of Southern New England, it's like you don't have a choice but to be involved, because you're going to get hungry. And no one wants to be at the bottom of the food chain. And how do we empower our people, most poignantly poor people, to step into that role and responsibility, and to engage politically, to actively vote? That is the beginning. That is the opening to empowerment and flexing any power. We were beneficial right now to see all this transportation money going into brand new sidewalks for our whole city. But for the last 3 decades of my coherent existence and political engagement, I noticed that the sidewalks are always new where the higher voting turnout is.
Mm-hmm.
And there we have communities which are, quote unquote poorer, where they don't get the things that they want because politicians don't have to answer to you if you're no threat to them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't support them in any way. So it's one hand washes the other, both hands wash the face. That is my own saying. and,
Good,
and
good,
we have
good.
to, not only save face, but present ourselves in a way that is, admirable, organized, and solution oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you get that is through numbers. So we have to organize, we have to come together, we have to agree to what the destination is and agree how we get there. So then we can begin to execute. And I'm a firm believer that we are our own greatest hope. So, no one's coming to save us. So first thing we have to do is talk to one another. We have to put our money where our mouth is. We have to move our feet in the same direction and truly work towards a better tomorrow for ourselves and our families.
And Seth, we have about two more minutes. Share again the number, if you would.
The number is here at the Greater New Haven Opportunities Industrialization Center, or OIC, is 203-389-3321. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Just before I give you the last word, share a little bit how, whether it's important or not, for, as I say, as you're being chair of the Livable Cities Initiative, and Arlevia is the executive, is the director, and then she works with Mike Piscatelli in economic development. How important is it for people to kind of look at the joining a commission, becoming a commissioner, or joining any of these commissions? Is it kind of a lackadaisical involvement, or is it something that really has impact?
It's extremely important, because you want to have a say in that particular aspect of life. It's like one thing that I've seen recently in the news, and it's very popular, point of contention on the campaign trail is the existence or the expansion of Tweed Airport.
Mm-hmm.
There's I believe it's like the Long Island Sound Commission or something, or the
wetlands and
it's like, folks who are concerned about, the quality of life of people and animals as well. It's like there's a commission that touches on something that means something to each individual, and you don't have to be retired to be a part of a commission. It's like we really need an injection of new ideas, new perspectives, fresh perspectives. So I implore those young people who are benefiting from the New Haven Promise. When you come home and you're actively employed and getting your footing as a young adult, please don't hesitate to become active and get involved in local politics. I know, it's not the most desirable location, but it is where decisions are made and policy is changed and things are improved upon.
Indeed. We have about 30 more seconds. Seth, I want to give you the last word, and then Harry will play the music, and that's the cue that we won't be heard anymore. But he's allowed us to be heard for 55 minutes, so we can't despair. But I want to give you the last word.
I want to thank both you, Tom Ficklin, for having me on your show. Definitely Harry for being the sound man. I did the same thing in college. I know it well. And definitely want to, point people to, reach out to the OIC. We are here, and OIC week, the June 5th through the 9th, please be aware of, share far and wide all that we have to offer and put out during OIC week. And
excellent. Seth, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah. As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission, I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going, better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain, keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. Whoa.